Hello all, I'm Wadabra, and this is Adastra. Adastra is a gay furry romance visual novel created by the Echo Project, featuring elements of sci-fi, political intrigue, a dash of body and cosmic horror, and a few adult sexual situations between consenting adults. If none of those things scare you, again, welcome. I think we're going to have a good time. Adastra was written by Howley, who also wrote some of the routes in the Echo visual novel. Sprites and CGs were made by Haps, backgrounds were made by Black Sun, and UI designs were by Compimono. Links to their various social media accounts can be found in the description below. Adastra is fully released, so if you're 18 years or older, it is currently available to download for free on itch.io, linked below. This series will be free of commentary, at least until the end of each video, where I might share a few thoughts about the game up to that point. There are already plenty of people out there who like to talk through things as they play, and I'm not one of them. My goal here is to provide an experience that feels less like a podcast and more like an audiobook, something that you can listen to without interruptions. Now, when I first started this project a few months ago, I had no idea how much of a learning curve there would be, or how long it would actually take for me to make this first video. Like I said, it has been months. So if anyone out there feels like helping me out on Patreon, there'll be a link to that in the description below as well. Alright, let's get started. It's so large. It's too much. How do they get anything done?
Sensing doubt. Shall we proceed with the directive, Amicus?
I don't know. Are you sure they're level 5?
Data from Mission 32-65-193 indicates primate species with level 5 intelligence and...
Understood. Thank you.
Most recent data indicates that all uplift attempts failed.
Ha! That figures. Why did we try to uplift here in the first place?
Sensing doubt. Shall we proceed?
Name of the planet.
Earth.
Location of Romanus uplift.
The city of Rome, in the state of Italy.
Is the probe there?
It has arrived.
Give me a visual. Zoom in. That doesn't look like Adastra at all.
Reminder that uplift failed. Ruins of uplift attempt remain.
Show me the ruins.
Showing the Roman Forum. Sensing doubt.
Shut up, please. What the hell are they even saying? That's not the language. It's all messed up.
Sensing.
That creature there.
They are called humans.
Get closer. It's a human.
Collecting data. He appears to be a young male human.
Initiate landing sequence.
Have you located the directive?
Yes.
Warning that full nexus analysis is incomplete.
Now, please. We cannot waste time outside of the stretch drive.
Initiating landing sequence.
It's hard to believe that I'm actually here. After years of fantasizing about it, I'm in Rome. I've been bouncing around with my friends like an idiot all day. Yeah, I look like a total tourist, but this is what I've been saving up for the past 2 years. A whole semester in Rome with the study abroad program. All the conversations I've had with my parents about what a waste of money it would be evaporates from my brain as I take in the view. We only have a few hours, so we move from the Forum to Palatine Hill, then finally to a nearby disco where I get just a little drunk. Before I know it, it's 2 in the morning, and somehow my friends and I are able to stumble to a taxi that takes us back to our apartments. I walk unsteadily through the darkness, glad that I have the place to myself for now. Apparently my group was the first to arrive, and my assigned flatmates won't be here for a few days at least. I open the door to my room and move my hand along the wall. I stumble in, then sit on my bed, bouncing happily for a moment. I think about going out onto the balcony, but I've been walking all day, and it feels too nice to be sitting down. Plus, it might not be a great idea considering the state I'm in right now. Still, just knowing the magic of the city is just outside my window is going to make it hard to sleep. I sigh happily and look around my little room. Actually, I'm told that it's kinda big by the city's standards. It's still a little bare since I just moved in today. I'd basically just dropped my suitcases next to the door before running out again. I glance at them, but decide I'm way too tired right now to unpack, even if my pajamas are in there. It's fine if I'm just laying on top of the covers. I'll get to it tomorrow. In the meantime, I just lay back, smiling in the afterglow of today's excitement. And tomorrow, I'll get to see even more. Damn it, I need to calm down. No way am I gonna have the energy I'll need tomorrow if I'm up all night. I've got the whole semester, and on top of that, school doesn't actually start for another 2 weeks. There's plenty of time. Just relax for now and enjoy it. With that thought in my head, I start to drift off. Something moves. I lay there in the dark, wondering if I'd dreamt it. I had been dreaming, even though I can't remember exactly what it was about. Something about a portal, maybe? I listen for a while, but there's no other sound. Just the occasional soft whoosh of a car passing by outside my balcony. I shift around a little. The suffocating humidity is making the sheets stick to my skin, and I wonder if maybe there's a fan in the closet. I finally sit up in bed, realizing that there's no way I'm going to fall back to sleep like this. I could at least try sliding open the balcony door, though I'm not sure that will do me any good. Worth a try, I guess. I groggily slide out of bed and try to slide the glass door open, but it doesn't budge. I struggle for a few more seconds before sighing and moving towards the door to find the light switch. My feet slide along the semi-cool wooden floor, which feels great, while my hands stretch out in front of me, searching for the wall. Right then, I remember that I was woken up by noises, and I imagine some intruder standing there in the dark, waiting for me to bump into him. Feeling the hairs stand up on the back of my neck, I quicken my pace and find the wall, fumbling around until I quickly glance around the room, relieved that it's empty. My parents had warned me about the crime rate here. While the city is technically safe in terms of murder, robberies and muggings are apparently pretty common. I had shrugged it off at the time, but now that I'm alone, I make my way to the balcony, looking for the lock before finally seeing that there's a latch near the top of the door. I unhook it and slowly slide the door open. I'm disappointed to find that the air wafting from outside is almost as stuffy as the air inside. Still, I take the moment to stare out at the lights of the city for a while. Even though I'm more interested in the ruins, the city itself is undeniably beautiful. Nothing like my hometown. That's when I notice that there's a strange smell in the air, like burning rubber. I stick my head out a bit further, looking around for the source, but I see nothing. Maybe that's normal here. I look back at the clock on the wall. 4 a.m. I sigh and shuffle back to the bed, only realizing that I've left the light on once I've already fallen back first onto the covers. I sigh and will myself to get up, but the tiredness has returned, and the heavy humidity is almost like a warm blanket pressing down on me. I close my eyes. I'll get up and turn it off in a second. Just need to rest my eyes for a bit. Just for a bit. Something moves again. And there's another smell in the air. A good smell this time. Something floral. It reminds me of lavender. And that's when something hard and sharp presses into my left eye socket, just above the eye. It doesn't really hurt, but it shocks me awake. It leans over me, something shiny in its grip which it's pulling back from my head. Ah! Ugh! I kick out with both feet, hitting the thing leaning over me in its body. Oedipal! It lets out a surprised grunt, stumbling back and falling on its rear while I scramble back on my bed, pressing myself against the wall. Almost immediately it scrambles back up, revealing its massive build and its masculine shape. He adjusts his cape and smooths down his fur before rubbing at his chest, giving me an odd look. Then he fixes a smile back on his face. Ave! I stare. That's all I can do is stare. He stares back at me for a moment, then clears his throat.
Hello.
Ave! The space above my left eye throbs, and it sounds like I'm hearing two things at once from the same voice.
Do you understand?
Again, the bizarre twitching in my eye, in my brain, and hearing two things at once. I feel like I'm going to be sick. The room shifts and swirls a bit, then slowly starts to settle again. The twitching in my head turns into a dull throb. I'm having a nightmare.
Do you understand me?
I stare at him, and he stares back.
Calm. I don't know if the chip is working.
What? The creature raises its hand to its head, rubbing at it.
Well, he can speak, and it's translating. Can you understand me?
When am I going to wake up? He keeps staring at me, and automatically I respond to him. Yes?
Ah, good. Seems it's finally working now. They take a moment to adjust to the host brain.
I struggle to keep up with his words. I'm still hearing what he's saying. It's almost Italian with the inflections and the rolling R's, but at the same time it's definitely not Italian. Still, I can understand what he's saying, like he's speaking my own language at the same time. It makes it hard to concentrate.
What is your name?
His expectant look almost forces the answer out of my mouth. Marco.
Marco. Beautiful. I am Amicus.
The confusing double language I was hearing is starting to fade, and now only my own language comes from his mouth. It's odd, the words not quite matching up with his lips. What's even more distracting are the massive canines that continue to flash behind those lips. I need to get the hell out of here. Dream or not, I don't like the look of the teeth and claws on this thing.
Ah, is the lingua having troubles again?
I don't respond, instead glancing at the door just to the right and behind this Amicus. He frowns.
Calm. You told me they're level 5. I can't even speak with it.
It takes me a moment to realize he's not talking to me. I hear a soft chatter coming from the wolf, like someone's talking to him from a phone, but I can't see anything.
Yeah, well, he kicked me in the chest.
Amicus rubs at his chest with a frown. More muffled speaking.
Of course I didn't. He just kicked me. He's looking at me like he has no idea.
More muffled speaking interrupts him.
Oh. Wait. What? Are you serious?
Now he looks pissed, and I press myself harder against the wall, trying to work up the courage to make a break for the door.
How? Wait. So you're always offering me opinions on my mood, but you couldn't offer that?
More muffled babbling, but the wolf thing interrupts it with a snarl.
Well, what the hell do I do now?
His lips are drawn back, and now I get to have a real good view of those canines. I stare wide-eyed at them, and that's when he seems to notice me again. He readjusts his expression into a smile, but I can still see a fang poking out.
Hey, listen.
Something about the way he acts, his expressions, demeanor. He's so human.
Could you come with me outside for a quick moment?
For some reason, the realization of his humanness makes me absolutely positive that this is a dream. This must be a character from a game or movie that I'd seen. I shake my head slowly at him.
Please?
I just stare, still waiting to wake up. I've had dreams where I couldn't wake up before. This is just one of those. I remember reading somewhere that if you aren't sure you're dreaming, you can plug your nose. If you can still breathe, then it's definitely a dream. But I remain frozen against the wall. The massive wolf sighs. Then his paw suddenly moves to his waist. I only have a moment to see some sort of device with multicolored lights before he moves and my entire body seizes up and things go black. My body feels strangely numb. It's like when I wake up with a dead leg or arm, except right now it's my entire body. The only thing I can really feel is a sharp, cold pain behind and above my left eye. I try to wiggle my fingers and hands, wondering if I'm having some sort of sleep paralysis. They move. At least, I think they do. Everything's so dark. Am I still in the apartment? Usually there's a little bit of light coming from the balcony because of the street lamps, but everything is pitch black. I start to feel a little panicky, both from the numb feeling and also the idea that I might have gone blind somehow. I try to remember what happened last. Did I go out somewhere? Maybe a club? The disco? Did I take something? I start to push myself up, and that's when I feel something soft under my hands and something very hard under it, like concrete. I'm definitely not in a bed right now. Now I really am starting to panic, wondering if I've been kidnapped. I get on my hands and knees, thankful that at least the numb feeling is going away. I'm also relieved to find out I'm not blind. I see a soft glow of light outlining what's roughly the shape of a door in front of me. I open my mouth, about to call out before I force it shut again. I have no idea where I am or how I got here, but I'm not liking the signs. My head throbs a little and I close my eyes tight, trying to steady my breathing, listening to my heart pound. I definitely got back to my apartment, and I remember going to bed, and then I remember... My eyes fly open as I remember that wolf creature staring at me with those blue eyes. And those teeth. Oh my god. There's no way. There's no fucking way. I open my eyes again and stare at the soft light, trying to listen. There's a constant hum of some kind, a whirring of a large machine. It's gentle and almost soothing, but it makes me think I'm in some sort of vehicle. But I don't feel anything, no bumps or turns. I slowly crawl towards the door, listening as hard as I can for voices or movement, anything that might tell me someone's nearby. As I get closer to the door, I do hear something, a type of beeping and chirping. I stay in that position for what feels like a solid 15 minutes, not hearing anything more. I think about trying to open the door, but I realize that might not be a great idea. I still don't know if that wolf is real. No, I know he isn't real. What's more likely is that someone slipped something into my drink and I hallucinated everything. I had laughed off my parents' warnings that tourists are vulnerable in Rome, but now that doesn't seem so crazy. Someone had drugged me, followed me to my apartment, then kidnapped me. I need something, a weapon, before I try opening the door. I feel like I'm in a closet of some kind, so there's probably something here that I can use. Slowly, I get on my knees and start moving forward, waving my hands out in front of me. If I can find the shelves, then I can just feel around for something solid and... My hand sweeps what feels like a box, and what follows is a clang of metal as something falls to the floor. I cringe, squeezing my eyes shut as the sound echoes around the room I'm in. I kneel there in complete silence, stunned. And that's when light spills over my body, followed by a large shadow.
Oh hey, you're awake. Did you know he was awake?
Yes, for approximately 0.2 hours.
I swear to the gods. Why are you so useless?
I sit there, not having turned around yet, but the shadow gets bigger and I feel him looming over me. I get a whiff of lavender. Finally, I slowly turn my head and see the wolf. He towers over me, his broad muzzle pointed down so that he can look me right in the eye. While his size and general demeanor are intimidating, his eyes are warm and friendly. That doesn't really matter to me right now, as I realize that I hadn't been dreaming or hallucinating earlier. Or the dream/hallucination is ongoing. The wolf moves towards me, and I immediately scoot back until the shelves behind me dig into my spine. I vaguely notice the metal thing that I'd knocked over earlier. It's a polygon-shaped thing with a long cord running out of it.
Remember, the human doesn't know about the galaxias. Proceed with caution.
The wolf's ears flick before he visibly tries to write his expression into a smile.
Hello, human. Sorry, I mean Marco, right?
Again, I get caught up in watching the movements of his mouth counter to what I'm hearing in my brain. Then I notice that he's waiting, watching me intently. I open my mouth, then close it, then nod. The wolf still stares at me, seeming not to understand.
Right?
The silence stretches on until I finally force myself to speak. Yes. It comes out in barely a whisper.
Great! So now that we understand that, I can tell you that I'm from the star Stella Vita, very far from here.
The wolf sets his paws far apart, his eyes wide as he emphasizes the distance. He's talking to me in a way one might a very dumb 2-year-old.
I live on a moon called Adastra. Do you know what a moon is? You live on what's called a planet.
I stare at him for a moment, almost offended despite my continuing shock. Amicus smiles gently.
A moon is a large...
I know what a moon is. Amicus blinks at me. We have one. My words feel automatic. Actually, everything feels like it's on autopilot right now.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. That's great.
There's an awkward silence as the two of us stare at each other. The initial fear is wearing off. I feel that if this alien is meaning to hurt me, he would have done it by now. At least, for now. Amicus rubs his paws together nervously.
Are you hungry?
He motions at his mouth, then rubs his stomach while licking his lips. Again, gestures and expressions that I have no trouble interpreting. The only alien thing about him is his appearance. I don't know. The wolf frowns, almost looking frustrated. His slow speech gets even slower.
Well, why don't we give it a try then?
I guess my answers don't exactly make me seem intelligent, but I don't know how else to respond.
Why don't you come out onto the deck with me? I'll make something.
Amicus gives an exaggerated "come on" gesture with both paws as he walks backwards, straight into the wall as he misses the door.
Ow! Yeah. Let's go, human.
He rubs the back of his head with a wince before turning and walking out the door. I stare at the open door for a moment before slowly getting up and following him, walking over a brown shag rug, the soft thing I'd been laying on. That's when I'm standing in the middle of what looks like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. It's small and cramped, but the amount of unfamiliar glowing technology is almost overwhelming. Glass panels cover almost every inch of the walls around me, displaying images and characters that I can't even come close to understanding. Straight ahead of me are large windows, looking out into blackness, dotted with specks of light. Specks of light? I'm in a spaceship. Where the hell is he taking me? Amicus is over to my right side, messing with what I can only describe as a large espresso machine growing out of the side of the spaceship. He's holding a cup under a nozzle, ducking down a little to stare at the opening. He notices me looking.
Takes a while to warm up. I have to warn you that it's not very good, but it's probably better than most of what you eat on your moon. Planet, I mean.
Just as he's talking, a very thick globule of brown sludge shoots out of the nozzle, half of it missing the cup.
Oh, damn it.
The wolf hastily moves the cup to catch the rest of it, while reaching over with his other paw to snatch up a rag from a hook on the side of the machine.
Sorry, this thing is near broken. Do you want to sit down?
He nods his head over at one of the two seats in front of the windows.
Just, don't touch any of the bright lights, okay?
I make my way over to the front of the deck, still waiting to wake up. I stand beside the seat, reaching out to touch the soft red bristles of the helmet and the wings on the sides. This only enforces the feeling that I'm hallucinating or dreaming. There's a strange Roman influence to Amicus and the ship, one that's almost cartoonish. Has my obsession over Rome gone too far? I can just imagine myself in some Italian hospital right now, babbling about Roman wolf aliens.
Go on and sit.
Amicus plants himself heavily in the seat next to mine, holding two cups of what looks like brown sludge. He holds one out to me. I take it gingerly before sitting down. Looking into the cup, the food has the consistency and look of half-melted chocolate ice cream. Except it's warm and smells like dirt, like literal mud. I scrunch my nose up at it, which Amicus notices.
Haha, yeah, it's not the best. I actually had some good food that I brought along with me, but I ate it all before I got here.
The wolf shrugs, then settles excitedly into his seat.
So, tell me about where you're from. What's life like on Earth?
It's okay?
Okay, well, what's your occupation?
I'm a student.
Oh, what discipline?
I try to adjust to the surreal feeling of talking to this wolf. I don't know yet. I was looking into history, Greek and Roman studies. That seems confusing to him for some reason.
Do you have an emperor? What's he like?
I catch myself staring at his mouth again, at the weird way his mouth is unsynced with his words. No.
Then how?
I interrupt him. Why isn't your mouth matching up with the sounds you're making?
Eh?
Even with the spaceship and alien around me, it's the weird distortion of feeling like I'm watching a dubbed movie that has me most unsettled.
Oh!
Amicus points a finger at me, to a spot just above my left eye.
I gave you a lingua. It helps you understand me.
I stare at him, but he doesn't offer anything more. How?
Oh, well, it, sort of attaches to the language center in the brain. It's very smart. It learns from the host brain and is able to interpret the 8 major Galaxias languages for them. And how does it do that? Well, our brains are structured in similar ways, at least among sapiens, so it works almost universally. Honestly, it's parental tech, so I'm not fully sure how it works. None of us do, but it does work. Amicus continues to look at me, clearly concerned about something. But I'm concerned too. How did you get it into my brain? You ask a lot of questions. I stare at him. Well, this is all kind of new to me. Should I not be asking questions? It's fine. I've just never had a child ask me questions, really. Anyway, there's a device that inserts it. I was lucky to find one left over on the ship. Inserts it? I rub the spot between my eye and eye socket, the skin slightly tender. Does it hurt? That should wear off in a few hours. I stare at Amicus for a few moments, then down into my cup, feeling a bit sick. Staring at the brown mush isn't helping. Need help with that? You can eat it like this. He dips his muzzle down towards his own cup. He sticks out a long, thick pink tongue, pressing it into the sludge before cupping it and bringing it back up into his mouth. He pulls a bit of a face before smiling. Not terrible. Then he looks at me a bit closer. Wait, you do have a tongue, right? I stare back at him for a moment before setting the cup to the side on the armrest. What are you doing? Huh? What is all this? Where are you taking me? At this point, I'm starting to get over the shock. I'm also starting to get annoyed at this alien's complete disregard for basically everything to do with me. You kidnapped me, you left me in a closet, you're feeding me what looks like shit, and now you tell me you jabbed something into my brain? Amicus actually flinches at that. Does it still hurt? I can give you a pain manager. I don't really want anything from you. What is all of this? The wolf just stares at me, wide-eyed. It's like he didn't even consider me being capable of being upset. Hey, it's okay. You kidnapped me. I feel myself getting more panicked, both from the realization of what's happened and what's currently happening. No, well, I mean, you tased me or something. What? You electrocuted me. No, it's not electricity. That doesn't make it better. For a brief moment, I think about overpowering this wolf, somehow turning the ship around if I can figure it out.
Sensing hostile intent. Proceed with caution, Amicus.
Amicus doesn't say anything, and I see him gripping into his cup tightly. I get the odd feeling that he didn't expect me to point these things out to him. Did he think that I was that unintelligent? I can tell he's calculating something in his head right now, and that makes me nervous. Maybe I should have just played dumb. We stare at each other for a long while, until Amicus's steely gaze forces me to look away. I choose to glance up at the ceiling, deciding to change the subject and give myself some time to just think. What is that thing? Amicus clears his throat. What? That voice. I nod up at the ceiling, in the vague direction where I heard the sound come from,
The thing that can apparently sense my hostile intents.
Oh,
Amicus looks up at the ceiling, too.
that's Computatrum, or Com. He's pretty annoying, aren't you, Com?
I can provide diagnostics on the ship, on the mood and competence of crewmates, on.
Thank you, Com. Anyway, he's not actually a sapient. He's a program that can process language and spit out information stored in his database.
Amicus pauses.
I'm sorry, you probably don't understand what I'm talking about.
I think I do. Artificial intelligence, maybe? I reach instinctively for the pocket of my jeans, but I remember that I left my phone on the bedside table. Amicus's eyes widen once again, and again I wonder if I should be keeping my mouth shut. Revealing how much I know seems to be some sort of trigger for him.
Ah, so, have you been in space before?
No. I look out the window, staring at the stars.
Okay. Have your people ever been to space?
No. No, we haven't.
Do you know what atoms are? Nuclear energy, maybe?
No.
Based on nexus analysis on Earth, these statements appear to be misleading, Amicus.
I glance at the ceiling again, realizing now that I've got a constant spy above me. I look back at Amicus, and we stare at each other in silence for a long moment. Then I realize how absurd all of this is. What do you want with me? Amicus looks away, seeming to think.
Well, it's part of a program on my planet to introduce new aliens to the Galaxius.
What is that?
It's the Greater Galactic Civilization, Marco. It's a gradual strategy to slowly introduce Earth to the idea of other sapients.
Oh, is this happening to other humans?
Yes.
I contemplate this for a moment. And when you're done showing me, you'll take me back? There's a momentary pause that I don't like very much.
Yes.
I imagine that I'd hear, "These statements appear to be misleading," from Com right now, if he were on my side. I look into my cup of brown sludge again. Well, to be honest, I'm not all that interested. So, could you just take me back now? Amicus stares at me. I've got school and a family. They don't know where I am right now.
What, I mean, don't you want to see the galaxy? I really think that it would be amazing for someone like you that hasn't seen it before.
The wolf starts fidgeting with his paws, not looking at me, choosing to stare out the windows. He isn't wrong. It would be pretty cool to see the galaxy, but not with someone like him who kidnapped me, taking me somewhere for a reason that he isn't telling me. No, I actually want to go home right now. Amicus stares at me for a full 10 seconds before looking away.
How about we wait until we get to my home? Then we can discuss it.
No, take me back. I feel my heart hammering in my chest as I start to realize that this alien is definitely not going to take me back. I stand up, and Amicus flinches and brings his paws up to his chest, as if I'm going to attack him. We stay like that for a moment. I'm breathing hard, staring down at the wolf while Amicus stares back up at me, wide-eyed. Finally, Amicus lets out a big sigh,
looking back out the window. Okay, I'm going to take you back. I'm sorry. I watch him for a moment, looking for signs of sincerity, but he still won't look at me. Really? Yes, but it's complicated. We're, on a trajectory for Adastra. It'll take time for us to turn around. I keep watching him, not sure what to do. I feel like he's lying, but if he is, there's really nothing I can do about it. I'm stuck here with him, probably millions of miles from Earth with no way of knowing how to get back. So I just stand there, arms folded tightly against my chest, staring out the window too. That's when I see a star brighter than all of the others, almost too bright to look at. Is that the sun? The what? Is that my star? My planet's star? Amicus squints in the direction I'm looking in. Oh, yeah, that's your star. I can't remember the name we have for it. It's a bunch of numbers. How far away are we? Not far. We could get back there in no time. Amicus stands up next to me, seeming to stretch. So, are we going back? Yeah. Just gotta do it in a way that doesn't waste too much energy. I still have to get back to Adastra after all. I stare in the direction of the sun again, my gaze slightly averted from the piercing dot. How long has it been since I was kidnapped? I wonder if my friends have alerted the school, or even the authorities. How am I going to explain this? There's a movement to my right, and just as I'm turning to look, something cold presses into the side of my neck. A familiar sensation of my muscles tightening up makes me slam back into the seat. At the same time, my mind seems to wipe clean. Empty. Suddenly, I'm surrounded by soft and warm gray fur. I feel like a limp blanket as I'm flopped around, my muscles like jelly. It's not a bad feeling. In fact, I kind of feel great. I would smile if my facial muscles were working. I'm laid on the ground, and then my arms are pushed behind me. Something starts to wind around my wrists.
Still detecting consciousness from the human. Insufficient charge used.
I used it on the lowest setting. I think I hit him with too much last time. Looks like he's mostly out anyway, though. I hear ragged breathing in my ear as my arms are jerked around. Damn it! He's more sapient than any child I've known.
Sensing distress. Would you like a stress tablet, Amicus?
Maybe even as intelligent as a wolf. Well, almost. If they've been to space, then they're far past level 5. I try to open my eyes, but the eyelids are too heavy to lift. Maybe level 10? My brain isn't really working either. I can't seem to focus. Padded footsteps move around my head. Then I hear what sounds like an alarm, followed by something I can't really explain. My mind startles as that deep voice starts up again. What do I do now? I've messed this up about as badly as I could have. Solutions, come!
Solutions, consider returning the human back to Earth. If no evidence is left behind, it is unlikely his statements would be believed.
Ugh. too late for that since I just activated the stretch drive.
Yes, that was inadvisable.
Yeah, well, I don't know how advanced his species is. If he was being misleading, then that means they're spacefaring. They could have patrols in their star system. I wanted to get out as soon as possible. You know, you could have offered the solution before I did that.
You've set me to minimal interruptions.
Next solution.
Consider termination of the human, and incineration of the remains through the radiation of the stretch drive.
Oedipal, no! Next solution.
Consider taking the human to Adastra, and use him as your pet as you originally planned. From there you may pass him off as less sapient. It is unlikely you will be questioned.
I don't know. He already despises me after what I just did.
Amicus, alternative solutions point to a higher likelihood that the monitors will be alerted to your actions. Proceed with caution.
Calm, please wipe the last 10 minutes of conversation. Then go into sleep mode until I wake you. I need to think.
Wiping memory. Entering sleep mode.
A few more moments of silence go by, and I feel a wave of fatigue. I start to fall asleep. The padded footsteps move closer to me, and I feel a presence looming. Then, something heavy and soft rests on my forearm.
I'm sorry. This was a mistake.
Then I'm dragged for a short while before I come to rest on something shaggy and soft. Then silence. Then sleep. To the one person who's made it this far, welcome to the after reading. This is the part where I read my script instead of the visual novel. The first thing I want to talk about is Marco's character, and how he's kind of subversive in the romance genre. In many a story with dating sim elements, Marco would be a non-character, designed specifically to be as blank as possible so the reader can most easily insert themselves into the story. It's a technique that works really well when implemented correctly, and isn't just limited to visual novels. But that's not what Marco is. Not completely anyway. When the story starts, Marco isn't sitting around, longing for a boyfriend or waiting for an adventurer to come and sweep him off his feet. He's already self-actualized his dream adventure, in Rome, where he is now, and he's living his best life. He has his own wants and desires separate from the reader. We, for example, may want to be whisked away from our sad, boring lives by a hot, alien space wolf, but Marco isn't having it in the slightest. When our himbo space wolf comes in and non-consensually violates him in his sleep, and yeah, that should sound bad, Marco is rightfully upset and calls him out on it. This is definitely not a good look for our kidnapper and supposed love interest. Luckily, we're given clues in the dialogue that kidnapping was not Amicus's original intention, and that something has gone very wrong with his plans. Even so, this is traumatizing, not romantic, and the novel clearly frames it as such. It's as if Adastra is saying, "Yeah, that smut you love is problematic, and here's a way it can be done better." I'm planning on talking more about the kidnapping as romance trope in the next part, so I won't go into it any further here. The implantation of the lingua also gives us our first taste of the body horror I mentioned in the intro, but again, I won't go into much detail here since I'm planning on talking about it more in the next part. Suffice it to say, having something surgically implanted into your body while you're unconscious or otherwise unable to give consent, and it's not a medical emergency, is just not okay. So, what will Marco do when he wakes back up? What sort of unintended consequences might this lingua bring into Marco's life? What did Com mean when he said Marco was originally meant to be a pet? Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell so you won't miss the next episode, and any answers it may have for us.